Okay, in this video what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to take your sketch that you've created and make it into your house on Revit. So we're going to start with our architectural template. Make sure you start with that always. And once it opens up, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Annotate tab up here. And we're going to use this detail line to actually draw out this floor plan that I've created that is scaled. So this is drawn to 1/8 of an inch equals a foot scale. Yours is 1/4 of an inch equals a foot. So what we're going to do is just start with a line and I'm going to draw it out to the same size that it is. And all we do is just click and type the actual values on our screen. And I made a mistake, so I can undo it because I want to go down. And we're going to go across. And I'm starting off with the perimeter, and you can see once I get going it starts to snap in place, and my house is very symmetrical, so it's kind of easy to draw because everything aligns up and it makes it easy. So once I get in there, I could hit escape. I could pull these walls down by clicking on it, taking my grip and going down. This wall also goes down. I have my mechanical room in the back, so I'm going to stretch that wall across. I could go up back to my detail line, and I can start drawing in these rooms. So if I click a point and I hover without clicking, I go up my distance from that point. I could type in the exact distance, and then I could go across. I go up from this point. I go across, and then I'm going to draw in my closets. And I could even use what's called the Midpoint Snap to divide those closets. So I have the line work for my walls. Notice how I didn't leave any spots or openings for my actual openings that I'm going to have in my dining room and living room, or the doors. I drew it just all solid, just like we draw our walls. So I go to architecture, and when we draw our walls, we're not going to be using a generic 8-inch. You have to look at your construction guidelines to see what it is. But if I wanted to go in here, we're going to duplicate it. Let's call it exterior wall. And if you look at the construction guidelines, our structure material is going to be your stud layer, and it's 2x6 construction, which is, we're just going to make it out of softwood lumber to make it easy, and that is actually 5.5 inches thick. We can insert another layer and move it up out of the core boundary and change it to our substrate, and this is going to be our plywood layer. And let's use 5/8 0.625 thick plywood. And now let's put our finish on. You could use whatever you like for your finish. I'm going to use siding for mine. Remember, if we wanted to make a new material for siding, we could click new material, change our identity, we'll call it siding. And our graphics, we want to use a render appearance because we're going to see it. In my appearance, I could replace the asset. I could search for siding. And there's lots of choices in here. I'm going to just pick this wood batten new one because it looks nice. And you could do some research as to how thick your finish is, whatever you're choosing to use. I know that my siding is 0.5 inches thick. Whoop. And we need to insert another layer and go down to our interior side because we have drywall. But remember, it's not drywall. That's a brand name. It's gypsum wallboard. We don't need to render appearance because it is going to be painted eventually. So this is going to be 1/2 inch thick drywall to make it as affordable as possible. And once we're done with that, let's hit OK. Now all I'm doing is tracing my line work around my house. What you want to make sure you do is set your height to go up to level 2. We'll worry about our wall height later. And we don't want it on the center line. We want it on the finish face interior, because when I draw it clockwise, see how the interior face is going to line up on that line? Because when we size out our rooms, if we were to flip this and it was on that side, I could hit spacebar. It would make my rooms a lot smaller. So for our exterior walls, I'm going to go around and I'm going to just trace the line work that I have. And it's a lot easier this way. This is why we spend time on our sketches, to get a nice good scale sketch, because then it makes the Revit part easy. Now you'll notice something. I don't see my layers, so let's go and change my visibility graphics. Fine. Let's go and get my line thicknesses.